We stay with this particular story now, and we speak to a specialist investigator, Mike Bolhuis, who is joining us for this conversation. Mike, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. So now we do understand that parts of a vehicle have been found, not necessarily parts, as we are now waiting to hear which vehicle those parts could have potentially belonged to. Let's just speak about your reaction to every single development in this particular story leading up to yesterday.
It's our opinion that this was a tragic accident. However, I am very happy that the authorities, the public, the media, is doing their utmost to keep everybody informed and do all investigations necessary. It has to be done. This is the protocol that needs to be followed in case there has been any form of foul play. Take note that proper forensic investigations and pathology investigations will show exactly what has happened. Whether these people have... Sorry?
Mike, pardon me. How crucial will that be? And I ask this because, some people were asking questions to say that it's been 6 days and they've been found in a river. What happens now to investigations? Would it be easy to conclude or not?
Yes, it will be concluded. The pathologists will say whether these people have drowned or if the bodies have been tampered with. In other words, are there bullet holes in the bodies? Are there knife wounds? Were they chased? Were they attacked? Was there anything done to the humans and the vehicles? Remember, if a vehicle is chased, the forensic units will pick that up with once found all the parts of the vehicle. The vehicles will be scrutinized as they have done with the CCTV footage, the cameras. All the forensic information is presently the most important, and that will make the absolute difference and conclude the case. It will show whether there's foul play or whether this was just a tragic accident. It might even show that this accident has happened because maybe somebody fell asleep, maybe they were unaware or didn't expect the river to be that high or took a chance. It will actually show what has more or less happened there, but it will definitely conclude whether there was foul play or not.
And Mike, when you also listen to police, they speak about the fact that when they look at the cameras, the last place where they would have, sighted the vehicle was at the Brakfontein interchange, and then they were not able to see the vehicle, but they could tell that it was moving towards the north. Could this have any impact at all in their investigations if they're not able to pick it up along the further stretch of the N1?
Only if there's foul play. But as I've said, they will also check the cell phones, at least a couple of months before and the very day and hour of the accident. So do not underestimate the cybercrime investigation possibilities. We do that a lot and we work closely with the police on that. The cell phone can give a lot of information that can explain. There you can see if these people were ever threatened, intimidated, did they call anybody, were they racing away, was anything going on before, or was there absolute silence and then there was an accident? As I've said, it's my opinion that they underestimated the river. It was, they were tired, they just wanted to get home, and they were maybe negligent. And it was just an unfortunate accident. And at this stage, I also want to say our condolences to all those involved of the people that has died. And remember, there's other bodies found as well. And I mentioned earlier on that the possibility of more bodies during this extreme weather that we've had recently along the Hennops River cannot be not investigated. That whole river needs to be swept and thoroughly investigated by the specialized units of the police. And they must carefully look from beginning to end, because that river has always been estimated and has taken lives before. And it suddenly comes down, and it can easily take vehicles and people for miles and miles away. So there's still a big job ahead, but the forensic investigation will show whether there was foul play or not.
And I suppose that becomes, as you say, it was going to be my next question to say that a lot of people now have questions to say that if you're finding other bodies, what could this be telling us? And of course, it's something that you've just clarified as well. But when you look at, now the fact that we're seeing this development of, some parts of a vehicle could have been found here. When you then look at this particular development, what does it tell us? Because yesterday there was a lot of concern that maybe it may have been possibly swept away. And of course, it not confirmed, but, speculation to say it may have been swept away. But if you're starting to find parts, what does that say?
Well, fortunately, the thieves and those that pick up scrap metal and those that sometimes take advantage of a bad situation, the criminals, it's fortunate that they did find some parts, because the parts will be scrutinized by the forensic unit, which will show whether there was an accident or whether there was a chase or any other violent crime committed against the people in the vehicle and the vehicle itself. Mm-hmm. It's like when there's a plane crash, we always see it on documentaries and on TV. They get all the parts, all of it, and then they can eventually state what has happened. Why did this aeroplane fall? Take note that water has extreme power, and because a vehicle is a unit, a complete unit, it's very easy to drown quickly. I want to mention that as well. Mm-hmm. If you end up in a river with your vehicle, you must understand what goes through the people's minds. They're extremely fearful. They're adrenalized. They're totally unstable. And they gasp and they take deep breaths. And one bad breath of water in your lungs, and it's basically over, especially if you're in a vehicle. Because then your body races, you need blood and oxygen to get yourself out of the vehicle, and you drown quickly. And that water is extremely strong, and it can take a vehicle, as I've said, for miles away and break it into many pieces.
Mike, very briefly then, before I let you go, would the resources be there to be able to carry out further investigations as far as, combing through the river is concerned, especially now that we're talking about inclement weather conditions as things have become quite unpredictable?
Yes, I'm quite sure this investigation will be concluded, and also quite soon. The resources, I'm sure the heads of police and all the specialized units is involved, and they do reach out to outside parties if they need assistance. And they will conclude, and they will let the public know what the situation is. Remember, if these people were targets, it will show very quickly, because the history will show. You cannot just be killed like that without a history showing that. So, in my opinion, once the river has been swept totally together, the forensic units, the doctors, the pathologists will give a clear indication exactly what has happened.
Mike, appreciate your time this evening. As you say, there needs to be, of course, all the answers to the questions, and hopefully, we are able to even get a sense of, the parts that we're now hearing have been found. Where do they belong to? Which vehicle, do they belong to? But appreciate your time and helping us make sense of this particular story this evening. That was Specialist Investigator Mike Bolhuis.